My name is Michael, and this is my lovely Michele. Welcome to the M&M Show.
And today we are going to speak about 5 things to build up the singles ministry, right?
Number 1, get the singles off the sideline. And if you're a single, you need to get off the sideline.
Yeah.
Number 2, we got to have compassion for the crushing loneliness. I mean, they got a great job, they work, but then they go home and they go to sleep. Instagram and those highlight reels aren't telling their real story. So we got to have compassion for the crushing loneliness. Number 3, we got to create a cranking capacity to connect.
Yeah.
Do an event where we're not doing a 10-point sermon where they can just talk. It's called Single to Mingle for a reason. They want to mingle and get to know each other. Number 4, we got to speak up to the singles, not down to them. They're adults. They're professionals. We got to speak up. And lastly, we got to baptize men.
Like him.
This bothers me. I mean, we were baptizing the singles.
Yeah,
we wanted to go into the ministry. We wanted to do great things for God.
Mm-hmm.
We wanted to be involved. And if I could be honest, this has been an area where I believe we've missed miracles in the sense that if we are going to restore the New Testament church, or not New Testament, but God's church, dare we say in the book of Acts, it's restoring all the ministries. It's restoring the teens. It's restoring the singles. It's restoring and I think we can't just restore the campus ministry. We got to restore the entire church, So I hope if you are single and you're not putting yourself forward for the ministry, you're just sitting on the sidelines. I know for us, our first event we did was called Vision. Simply because there was no vision for the singles in our church.
Right.
We go, wait a minute, what are we, chop liver here? We want to do great things. And so we got off the sideline and we called the other singles to get off the sideline, to start serving, to start giving, to start volunteering. Get involved. I want to lead a church. I want to lead a Bible talk. I want to get off the sideline.
Yeah, we want to give you guys permission, single people out there. We want to give you permission to be confident in your singledom and to just own it. You have the Holy Spirit just as much as a married person, just as much as a campus person. You have value. You are valued by God. And like we said at the EMC, we were speaking. Oh, actually, it was the EMC. We'd had the singles conference, which is coming up again this year. Hopefully, you guys can come to that. But essentially, that singles are one of the parts of the body that are able to do a lot. You're able to go on mission teams.
Yep.
You're able to support a lot. Support the church, and you also have a lot more time usually to give to seeking and saving the lost.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's awesome. So we just want to inspire you. Please,
get off the sidelines.
You want to build your singles? Get those singles off the sidelines. And if you're a single, stop standing on the sideline waiting to be put into the game. Say, put me in, coach. Yeah. I'm ready to play. Yeah. The other thing is, I do believe we have to create, or we got to have, maybe the second thing is to talk about having compassion for the crushing loneliness. I mean, I think about so many singles that go to their job, especially here in London. London, they have a literal minister of loneliness. They hired a minister to deal with all the loneliness in the country.
Wow.
And most of these singles, they have these amazing jobs. They look incredible. They go to the gym. They go home and they watch Netflix. And then they crawl into the bed by themselves, go to sleep, wake up, go to work, go to their Instagram. Put all the highlights of the last trip and the highlights again, and never show you the lowlights and the crushing loneliness of one more night being alone. I mean, it can be, and I think I just think we have to have compassion. When you're married, you got someone. When you're in campus, I'm too young to really think about it too much. But when you're single, you're an adult. You have needs. Even the desire to have that intimacy and that physical connection, our bodies are created to want this. And just denying it. If you're single and you're a celibate, I have compassion. We live this life, and we just have to have compassion because the loneliness can be crushing as a single.
Yeah, it can be crushing as a single, but at the same time, and I think too, especially for those in the world, because I think of the singles in our ministries and they don't even have, they're busy. They're busy doing God's work. And I think that's the value of being part of a community like the church where there's so much to do. There's so many connections and that you're meeting so many new people literally every week when there's a new baptism or replace membership. There's just so many more relationships around you, and that we're also dealing with relationships on a deep level. We're forgiving each other. We're striving to have deep connections. So I think the church offers the singles that are crushed by loneliness, especially in the world, a wonderful place to find value and connections that aren't sexual. That is unheard of. And most people are craving that. So I think as a singles ministry, we have a huge opportunity to outreach lonely singles out there who really are desiring the connections that we take for granted.
Yeah, we connect. We have our church. And that's the third thing. The third thing is you have to create a cranking capacity to connect. Singles events are not campus events. Singles events need to be excellent, good food, light music, geared towards adults where they can just connect. We don't need a 5-point sermon and need to know the 5 core convictions and need to know the Hebrew and the Greek and the Latin Vulgate. And did you graduate from the ICCM? And are you getting ready to go into? I mean, but not at a singles event. That's the whole point. We get enough of that. They need to be able to just talk to each other. You know what I mean? They need to just be able to have a conversation longer than during the fellowship break. They need to have a conversation where it's not on a date, where it's just casual, organic, knowing each other. And so in your church, you got to just create an opportunity for singles to connect. You can do that through sporting events. You can do that through runs. Yeah. You can do that. We have so many different events where people are so excited that we're speaking to this unmet need in Christendom. A lot of people don't speak to the challenge it means to be to be single. So you got to have opportunities Campus Devo has opportunities. Single or the marrieds are always, you're together all the time, but where are the opportunities for singles just to connect? And if you create this in your group, they will connect. Yeah. They will connect.
Yeah. One of the things that we did in London, which really helped, was we, hopefully this is happening in the churches as well, as we have a singles male and female leader, and they pretty much do events at least every other week. But alongside of that, they're not just them; they're like connection networking events. So if you're working in the world, you know what networking event. It's a beautiful venue. There's food, there's music, and it's kind of a time to talk. And within that space, people can start getting interests. And also bringing coworkers to those events. And the coworkers are feeling like, wow, this has got a professional networking vibe, but it's deep, it's spiritual, it's loving,
and it takes the
positive.
Pressure. Yes, it takes the pressure off. It's not a date. But you can talk. It's not, there's no obligation. It's me and her together and I got to come up with a conversation. No, you can go talk to another sister. You can talk to another brother. And it's just a great way. And these events, they just stay and talk and build friendship.
And sometimes we have question and answer. Other times what we've done is people that are really good at their certain careers, whether it's finance or marketing or fashion, we do a Q&A where they really talk about work and also finding the balance between work and ministry as well, which can be very helpful. The other thing I wanted to just say is I'm noticing a lot on some of the women that I follow in different churches, single women. They're like doing selfies of on my way to a singles event, and they're dressed up and fired up. So we're loving what we're seeing out there. So singles are really connecting with this value of making single events in the church top notch.
Yeah, I think the last couple of things is you got to speak up. Leadership is the ceiling. If you speak down, that's exactly what you get. You got to speak up to the singles. We have some amazing singles. I value them. I value their input. They change my mind. They help me to go a different direction sometimes. And so we try to do a great job of speaking up. I'm not saying we don't call out the weaknesses, but you got to speak up to the singles because there's so many digs and so many shots. Even in a non-threatening and not I didn't mean it way. Why are you still single? They hear that so many times. Yeah. How could, what's wrong with you? There's nothing wrong with me. I'm a whole person. I'm not a decimal. I'm a single. I'm not waiting to be fulfilled and completed. Please let me have this season of my life. And just, so that's why I think it's very important to speak up to the singles. Yeah. We respect you as a single. Elevate.
And I think that was a turning point in our singles ministry. I think good-heartedly marrieds are like, oh my gosh, are you dating yet? We it's fun. It's fun fun to talk about those things, but then it can be very demeaning also to a single person's like, no, I'm not dating and I'm actually really fulfilled right now. And that's okay. So, but I think the turning point in our singles ministry came when we did Michael and I actually sat down and we did a talk at one of the single events. And we just both elevated the singles and just said, you guys are special. And to see singleness, as I always say, is a gift. It's a gift from God. And to see the value of that gift and to see the value of the season of singleness. So when we start speaking up and giving singles vision for their lives, people will come up and meet that vision. So once we did that, our ministry transformed.
Yeah, and now
it was kind of like a pep talk.
It really was.
It really transformed the ministry.
The types of people that we're getting now. I mean, even our last couple of baptisms. Matt, he owns his company. We're studying with another guy who owns his company. We got another guy who owns a company who wants to do great things within the church if he makes it. I mean, so this is very important to speak up to the singles. And lastly, I think this is very important. You got to baptize men.
Yes.
I didn't say baptize men and women. Even though we need to baptize men and women, we obviously know that, but we got to put a heavier emphasis on baptizing men. Let me give you some stats. Statistically, children have a higher chance of staying faithful when they have a dad that is in the house or in the church. 65% to 35% of women, men ratio are the stats in the church. Okay, most churches are full of women, not men. They say that in the last 20 years, 49% of the men under 30 have actually left Christendom and left the church.
Wow.
At the current rate, by 2028, men will have totally disappeared from church.
Wow.
And here's the scariest thing about it for me. I don't. These aren't the same stats for the Islam, Buddhism, and Hinduism. No, they get the equal amount. They get men and women and all these other false teachings, whatever. And you can read about this in, it's called the Tearful Report, Appendix 1. And so what we've done is we've taken terms like toxic masculinity and you scared the men off. And we got churches that cater to, you can't have a strong, heavy hitting, hard hitting sermon right there. Everything is done. We don't want to be seeker friendly and sensitive. No, we got to have churches that preach the word of God that attract men. I got some men right now that me personally, they've only been attracted to that. One guy says, I can't believe how you talk. And the church is happy for you to be so strong and bold. And I want to know what you're doing. And I want to connect you with all my friends in Scotland. And can we meet? And I'm going, wow, this is such a great miracle. We've got to baptize the men. We win when we win the men. The book of Acts, it doesn't say, and a number of women grew to about 5,000. It says the number of men, because men are the leaders. They're not better. They're just the leaders. They have a role that's God ordained. Women don't have that role. We better have some women so we can have the kindness and the encouragement. But if we want to really build your singles ministry, you got to gear it towards getting the guys. Yeah. You got to get the men in the door.
Yeah. It is sad. I think that statistic runs in our movement as well, where there is a higher statistic of women getting baptized than men for whatever reason. Probably men find spirituality not attractive or whatever. So yeah, we do have to be very intentional to attract men because men ultimately will lead churches. And there's a really high need to, a lot of women want to desire to be married. So we need to find those brothers and brothers that have jobs, that can support a family. We're all about excellence. We want to baptize men and then train them. One of the things we do a lot in London is we train people to be excellent. So if you're not excellent when you get baptized, we will help you gain character to become excellent for God and elevate your mindset to be great and to be that millionaire mindset, whether it's millionaire mindset in the ministry or millionaire mindset in the secular world. But yeah, we definitely need to baptize more men so that they can lead more for God.
Yeah, and I would say this. I wouldn't say men aren't spiritual. I would say the version of spirituality we're putting out, the brand of Christianity we're marketing, that doesn't attract men. And that is what's not spiritual. The church was never a feminized church. The church was never, you look at the apostles, they weren't given, look at Stephen, these were some hard-hitting sermons that the sisters back then were fired up about. Mm-hmm. But we are in a generation now, it's so seeker-friendly, we're afraid certain sins we're sensitive about. I mean, you can lay it out when it comes to heterosexual adultery, but let's be sensitive to homosexuality. Where is that in the Bible? No, homosexuality is weird. It's a perversion. It's sin. It's bad. It's wrong, just like all the other sins. And so when a church is really kind of tiptoeing and trying to not be, be like that to the it just won't. You won't get the men. You won't build, and you need the men. You got to get the men. We win. We all win. We all win when we get the men. It's not saying that we need men or that anybody's better. They're different roles, but we gotta present a spirituality, a Christianity that draws in men. If we're going to crank our singles ministry, get.
You've done a great job of building up the men's ministry here in London. And one of the things that I really notice is that men love being around other manly men. And we're just talking about men's midweek. Your men's midweek here in London is just like, it's like another level. It's like Men's Day every other week. Men love being around each other for that camaraderie. And again, I think men in and of themselves actually are very lonely in the world. Unless they play sport, I don't think there's a lot of opportunities for men to find that tribe, to find that team.
Preach.
And that is something that I think the church, we have such a huge opportunity to really grab men who are really craving this community of other men, So yeah, I think if we can go after those 5 things as a singles ministry, I think that we can really elevate our singles ministry to another level. Obviously, there's probably a lot of questions that you guys have.
Yes.
Whether you're leading a singles ministry or you're within the singles ministry, please comment below or message us. We love answering your comments. And please like and subscribe the channel, and we'll see you soon.